Types of fire extinguishers and their use. Hi, my name is Ethan, and today I'm going to talk to you about the types of fire extinguishers and their use. The basis for this course is according to OSHA Standard 29 CFR 1910.157 Section G. This states that all employees must be familiar with the general principles of fire extinguisher use. In order to increase fire safety, employees must be able to distinguish the classes of fire extinguishers and know how to use them. Being this course is for everyone, there's no prerequisites required. Anyone from a janitor to a CEO needs to know how to use a fire extinguisher. Some learning objectives for this course. By the end, students will understand the class system of fire extinguishers. Students will know when use of a fire extinguisher is appropriate. Students will understand the proper technique for using a fire extinguisher. And at the end of the course, students are required to pass a post-test with a score of 100%. The overall goal of this course is just to promote fire safety. Fire safety is extremely important. In the blink of an eye, a fire can start and cause millions of dollars in property damage. It can take everything you have if you're in a home, but in industry, it can slow production and be very costly to the company. But the most costly thing about fires is the loss of human life. Property can easily be replaced, but human life is irreplaceable. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, in the year 2013, there were 148 fatal injuries resulting from fires in industry. The overall scope of this number may seem small, but it's still 148 lives that were lost. Without knowing the details, it's hard to say, but many of these fatalities may have been prevented by early reaction with a fire extinguisher. If one death could be prevented by proper training, it makes training worthwhile. We never know when we can make a difference, so that's why we need to pay close attention to this training and know one day we may have to react with a fire extinguisher. So when that time comes, I know I would want to know what I need to do and how to do it. In order to get started, we need to cover the different classes of fires. Although we need to know types of fire extinguishers and how to use them, it's easier to understand how to use a fire extinguisher and when to use it if you think of it in types of fires. There's many different types of fire extinguishers because not all fires are the same. There's different ways that are started, and there's different fire extinguishers available to use. There's 5 basic fire classes: Class A, Class B, Class C, Class D, and Class K. Class A fires are fires that are started with normal combustible materials such as wood, cloth, and paper. Class B fires are fires that are started with gasoline, alcohol, paint, thinners, and other chemicals. The last 3 classes of fires are Class C, Class D, and Class K. Class C fires are electrical fires. The most important thing to take away about electrical fires is if you don't stop the source of power, you won't be able to stop the fire. It'll continue to spread. The next class is Class D. These Class D fires are fires with combustible metals such as potassium, magnesium, and titanium. These are very dangerous. The last type is Class K. Class K is kitchen fires that involve vegetable oils and animal fats in kitchen appliances. Now that we talked about the different classes of fires, we can better understand the classes of fire extinguishers. The first class of fire extinguisher is your ABC extinguisher. As you see in the name, it works for Class A, Class B, and Class C fires. This is your multi-purpose extinguisher. It's most common and seen in most workplaces. The next type of fire extinguisher is your Class D extinguisher. Again, with the name, it's for Class D fires. But with Class D, there's two different types of extinguishers. The first extinguisher uses a sodium chloride base and is effective for magnesium, sodium, potassium, and powdered aluminum metal fires. The second type of Class D extinguisher uses a copper-based powder and it uses it to smother the fire. The last type of extinguisher is a Class K extinguisher. This is a potassium acetate mist and it's used to avoid spreading grease fires, and it helps cool off appliances. Alright, so now we know the different classes of fires and the different classes of fire extinguishers to go along and use on them. Now we're going to talk about how to use these fire extinguishers. The first thing to think about when using a fire extinguisher is that you always want to sound the alarm first or call for the fire department. You never know if you're going to be able to put out this fire completely with your fire extinguisher because you only have a limited amount in there. So you want to be able to call the fire department or sound the alarm so people can start being evacuated, and if for some reason you aren't able to put out that fire, backup is on the way. Firefighters are trained and they have the right equipment to use to fight these fires. So you want them on your side. But when it comes down to using a fire extinguisher, it's not very complicated. You just need to remember one word, is pass. P-A-S-S. The first step is to pull the pin. You pull the pin to be able to release the mechanism to squeeze the handle. But we're not going to squeeze it yet. The next step is you want to aim. You're going to aim the nozzle at the base of the fire. But you don't want to stand too close. You want to be about 6 to 10 feet away. Standing too close can actually spread the flames. So step back and keep a safe distance. Next step, now you're going to squeeze that handle. Squeezing the handle discharges the fire extinguisher to put out the fire. But while doing that, you're going to come to your last letter as S. You're going to sweep. So you're going to sweep from side to side, going from the base of the fire up. If you have any doubts in your ability to use a fire extinguisher, you should evacuate immediately. Don't put yourself in a situation that you can't handle and make yourself in harm's way. You always want to be safe. As long as you sounded the alarm, people are getting evacuated and help is on the way. So keep yourself safe. Now, I don't have a fire extinguisher to be able to show you how to use, so on the next slide I have a video with a quick demonstration.
Fires kill more than 3,000 people in the United States each year. And if we're going to have to deal with these fires at home, in the office, in the shop, wherever, we have to know how to use a fire extinguisher. When you encounter a fire, you have to make a conscious decision. Is it worth me trying to put it out with a fire extinguisher? Should I just back out of there and call 911 and let the professionals take care of it? Every company is going to have someone in charge of checking these visually on a monthly basis. Every year you'll have them sent away to be checked by the professionals, but the monthly checks are pretty simple. Let's make sure that they're charged. Let's make sure all the parts are in place, that the hose is in good condition, that they're mounted in the right place. It's easy to lose track of one of these things if they get used. Make sure it gets put back, it gets recharged, because you never know when you're going to need to use one. If you happen upon a fire that is small enough for you to actually fight with one of these smaller fire extinguishers, all you have to remember is the acronym PASS. PASS helps us learn how to use this thing safely and not forget it when our mind is being preoccupied by the blaze. P is for pull, and we're going to pull the pin. The pin is here to make sure that this thing doesn't accidentally get discharged. It's really the only thing that's stopping these two levers from coming together and discharging the unit. When we pull the pin, make sure we're not squeezing together. We're just holding on the underside. It should be pretty easy to pull. It should have some sort of a tether on it or maybe a plastic band. Discard both of those things, and that's when we're going to go ahead and grab this nozzle and move on to our next letter. Grab this nozzle, and we're going to aim at the base of the fire, stay a nice safe distance away. And S is for squeeze. When we squeeze this handle, we'll discharge the unit. And the last thing we're going to do is sweep. We're going to sweep at the base of the fire and try to put out the flames from the bottom up.
Alright, now we know the different types of fire extinguishers and how to use one. But now we need to talk about when to use a fire extinguisher. The first thing you need to think about is you only want to attempt to put out a fire if you know what you're doing. Hopefully, after this presentation, you'll know a little bit more and how to do it. But don't go in over your head and try to do something you're not familiar with. Secondly, fire extinguishers are only good for small contained fires. These are called incipient fires, and they're just getting started, and they're limited to the original material that ignited. So a kitchen fire, it's the grease that caught on fire in the appliance. A house fire, it's the wood, a bed. It's the initial start of the fire. It's not large. Trying to fight a large fire will only put you in harm's way, and the whole purpose of this is to stay safe. Next thing to think about is you need to be aware of your surroundings. Make sure you have a clear evacuation path. You don't want to get in over your head, and then when it's time to bail out, you don't have a way to escape. So always be aware of what's around you. Alright, this goes along with the last slide. It's just kind of vice versa. So now we're going to talk when not to use a fire extinguisher. So of course we only want to use for small fires, so opposite of that, we don't want to use on large fires. That and fires that are partially hidden from sight. If you can't see the whole thing, you don't know the vast scope of it, so don't try to fight it. If you're unable to fight a fire without respiratory protection because of smoke and products of combustion, you don't want to be inhaling things and then pass out and then you're in trouble. Firefighters have that type of equipment. They have the respiratory protection. So that's what they're on the way for. So if you're unable to do it, don't do it. And then if you're unable to approach the fire within 10 to 15 feet because of the heat, then it's too big and you shouldn't fight it. Again, when using the pass method, you want to be within 6 to 10 feet. So if you can't get it within that, then you can't fight the fire. Some things to take away from this: fire extinguishers are good. They can save lives and property, but only if you know how to use it. It's only as good as the user. You need to be knowledgeable and know the potential class of fires that may occur at your place of work and the type of extinguishers available. If you work in a kitchen, you're most probably going to have a Class K fire. So you need to make sure you have the type of extinguisher to use. Always remember, sound the alarm. You don't want to be doing this on your own. And again, you want people to be able to get out too and evacuate people. You always want to be able to critically think. You need to decide fight versus flight. Can I fight this fire? Can I not fight this fire? Am I just going to get hurt? Always have a way out. And the most important thing to take away is just to stay safe. That's the most important thing of all.